day, Darlington County School District, and welcome back to another In the Know, the last one for January of 2024. I'm just now getting used to writing 2024 on all my documents that I'm signing off on now, so I hope you've made the adjustment from the prior year as well. Today at least, it is above 70 degrees in Darlington County, which is very different than what it was this past weekend when it was down in the mid to upper teens. So welcome to weather in South Carolina, where one day it can be 70 and one day it can be 30. So I hope you all are having a great week so far. Wanted to update you on the most recent work session that we had this past Monday. And there were two primary topics that were discussed with the board. The first had to do with the start of the budget conversations for next school year. And so we are starting to discuss what that budget will look like for the 24-25 school year and some of the different pieces that are involved with that. Of course, since it's January, there's still a lot of key pieces that we are missing, primarily the numbers that would come from the State Department and from our legislators when they pass a budget, as far as the monies that would come to the district. But there are also other items that we are able to be talking about. And then also talking about, of course, the ESSER funding. So the ESSER funding is retired as of the end of this school year. And so, as many of you all know, that we received ESSER monies. There was an ESSER 1, ESSER 2, and ESSER 3 that we received in the school district for the past 3 years. And of course, we had to have plans that were in place that were approved by not only the board, but also by the State Department. And we had to allocate those budgets in the way that they were set up. So, for example, certain software that we have been utilizing over the past several years, we've paid for out of ESSER monies. Also, there were some HVAC renovations that we have been doing with some of those monies that we have from ESSER. And then, of course, a large chunk of that money has been utilized for extra help to help our students gain back what they had lacked during the COVID period. And so a lot of our particular functions, such as interventionist, whether it be math or ELA or the MTSS, or again, lots of different positions that we've utilized over the past few years that have been paid out of ESSER monies. And so the discussion was, first and foremost, what are those positions? And then the second part is, how effective have those positions been in the school district so far? And then try to prioritize those too. So we've had lots of discussions with principals over the past several months about their viewpoints on this and trying to get a perspective on how these different positions have impacted student achievement in all of our schools across the district. And again, just the start of the conversations to see what that looks like. But more importantly, as we get farther into the budget process, we'll be looking at revenues. So potentially, is there any excess revenues that we may be looking at for next year? And then once the board establishes their priority list, whatever excess revenues there are, we would be going down that priority list. So Monday was the first of many conversations about the budget. And again, each meeting and certainly each work session between now and June. June is when we will have first reading of the budget and pass it. It'll be finalized in June, actually. So looking forward to having more information. We are gathering data as much as we can get on the various positions that have been utilized, and we'll be bringing that information to the board as well. And then also, when it comes to budgets, we were having conversations as well about, for example, our student-teacher ratios that we have in the Darlington County School District. And as many of you will remember, about 3 or 4 years ago, actually before COVID hit, I made the decision and the board accepted my recommendation to lower class sizes in the Darlington County School District. So before, our high school and middle school student-teacher ratio target was 30-1, and our elementary school student-teacher ratio target was 25-1. And as of that time that the decisions were made, we actually lowered that. So our high school and middle school target student-teacher ratio is 25-1, and our elementary school student-teacher ratio is 20-1. And so my effort is to maintain those student-teacher ratios going forward. And I've heard loud and clear from our principals that they believe that student-teacher ratio is helping us be very effective in the classroom. So again, looking at the student-teacher ratios, but also, acknowledging the fact that we have lost students over the past several years, especially during COVID. So the enrollment for the Darlington County School District is down over the past 5 years. And so we have to look at that and how does that impact the teacher-student ratios that we have. So we had a long conversation about that. Again, we've talked with our principals about that. They'll be in budget meetings with us in the month of February and early March, where we'll go through each school's budget as well as their allocations. And again, we just want to be efficient. So, I plan on keeping the student-teacher ratios at the lower rate, but they can't be any lower than that because, again, now we're losing efficiencies on that. So we'll be looking at all that information. And again, the majority of everything will be handled through just being able to look at what these plans look like and then make some recommendations moving forward for that. So stay tuned. I'll have more information for you, and certainly your principals will have more information as we continue to update that process. The second item that we talked about at the board work session was our MAP scores, but more importantly, the process that you are going through at the schools in order to disaggregate data, progress monitor what's going on with our students, and then how do the MAP scores actually reflect what we are looking at towards the end of the school year with our state standardized testing. And so again, many of you all have had visits from Mr. James Ford, who has been doing professional development trainings on the new value add system for growth that is in place that will be, this year it was reported, but next year it will actually count on the report cards. And as you recall, we all received a spreadsheet from the State Department with last year's SC Ready scores for the current students we have in our buildings. And then there was actually a projected goal for SC Ready at the end of this year from the State Department. And then how MAP fits in with that is that through Rally, which is a data warehouse program we are using. Not every school district in the state is using it, but we're one of many that are utilizing Rally. It's actually able to take that MAP score and then have a projection of what SC Ready would be at the end of the school year. And so, for example, if the state set a goal for a student and then our MAP projection for SC Ready was under that goal, we are looking at, what can we do to make sure we stay at that goal, and what are some of the strategies we need to be looking at from a school and district level. What types of professional development do we need to be focused on between now and the end of the year in order to address those needs for growth with our students. So again, very in-depth conversation about data, very in-depth conversation about how you are actually monitoring each one of your students and how the data is available for each one of your students, how we can progress monitor and make sure that we are doing everything we can to help our students be as successful by the end of the school year based on those goals that are set. So we again have another MAP window that will open later on in the spring, right before we get ready for SC Ready, and of course that will give us some critical data of where we may be lacking as well. But I will say this, here is the overall view that I got off of our current MAP implementation that we did as far as the assessments that we did for winter, the winter window that we had, and that is that we've had moderate growth in ELA from last year to this year. So we have had some growth, but it is moderate compared to last year. And then we've actually had really strong growth in math from last year to this year, and that's winter map to winter map in the comparisons. I realize that that's different cohorts, so all I'm looking at is winter to winter and what the overall schools have for their map assessments and results. So again, ELA moderate compared to last year, and math much stronger than last year. So we hope to maintain that trajectory for math. And then, of course, for ELA, we hope to pick up some more steam heading into the spring and towards the end of the year. I know you all are doing everything you can. And again, I know there are a lot more things that go into what you do every day besides just preparing for testing. So I thank you for everything that you're doing. It's part of it. Again, I've always said, that one snapshot in time does not define our students or define you in the schools and how you're preparing students. But it is something that we can't ignore because that is how we are being judged across the state. So I look forward to seeing you in the schools and hear about the progress that you're making as well. We had a great celebration this past week at the Mayo Conference Center, and that celebration was for our inaugural Hall of Fame inductees. And so we had a great time with the families of our 5 inductees. And again, we honored Dr. Alan McCutcheon, we honored Dr. Rainey Knight, we honored Lina Pearson, we honored the late Gene Taylor, and we honored the late Sergeant Major Connell Delane. And all of the accolades that they had obtained over the years with the Darlington County School District, but more importantly, what they poured into the Darlington County School District and all of their efforts to help children. And so it was great to have in one room on one evening families and those individuals that were present with us. It was incredible to know that over the years that Darlington County School District has really benefited from some people who have committed their lives to the school district over the years. And again, you've heard me say it before, it's very unusual across the state of South Carolina to have that type of longevity in a school district where you see people that have been 30, 40, and 50 years in the same school district and even in the same jobs. So again, it's just a testimony to how special the Darlington County School District is. And I had a great time reading about the history of those individuals and going through all the accomplishments that they had and all the things that they did for the students and staff in the Darlington County School District. So it was a great review for me as well. And we look forward to next year's. Again, this year was the inaugural, and next year we will be looking forward to the next Hall of Fame inductee banquet. It is the legislation season, and so our legislators are in session now. And so both our representatives and our senators are meeting with their peers and discussing many different bills that are out there, many of them related to education, and certainly they're talking about the budget and passing the budget. And so just a couple high points I want to mention to you for you to be aware of and to kind of keep your eyes on. As far as teacher salaries, there are 2 different plans out there. One is from the governor's office and one is from the State Department of Education from Superintendent Weaver. And so the governor's proposal is looking at adding $2,000 to the cells at this point in time, but actually those cells will become bands. And so the Proposal is for a $2,000 raise for each band, and we will move away from having cells for years and degrees, and they'll be in 3-year pay bands. And so that's the governor's proposal. Again, it's a proposal at this point in time, but essentially there would be 3-year pay bands that would have the same salary for each of those 3 years, and then the next pay band would be a different salary, a higher salary, as it works its way up through year 30. And then also in the governor's proposal, it is to have only 2 tracks for degrees, bachelor degree and graduate degree. And so there would be one salary for bachelor, and there would be another salary for graduate. It looks to be about $5,000 difference, but it includes all graduate degrees. So regardless of whether you have a master's or a specialist or a doctorate, it's still the same amount, that $5,000, and that is the proposal from the governor's office. State Superintendent Ellen Weaver has proposed a $1,500 pay raise for every cell that's in the current model that we have for each cell, along with 5 days added to the teacher contract. So teacher contract would go from $190 to $195, and the expectation would be that those extra 5 days would be utilized for professional development for all certified staff. Again, it's a proposal. As the legislation season moves through over the next few months, there'll be more clarity. And as a reminder, just because a bill or a budget is proposed, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what winds up being passed, especially with the budgets, because it's got to go from the House to the Senate, then it goes back to the House, then it goes back to the Senate. Then if they can't decide, then they get groups together across the aisle until they can come up with a viable solution for the budget. So just know that a lot is going to happen between now and in June when they are supposed to have that budget passed. But that's the 2 key pieces on teacher pay. And then also there's other pieces of legislation, for example, Read to Succeed. So that is being discussed and revising that legislation. For example, right now all secondary teachers are required to take the courses for Read to Succeed. The new legislation would not require that. And administrators currently have to take Read to Succeed courses. They would not have to take that if they were not directly involved with students. So primarily it would be for elementary school, special education teachers, and administrators that are involved directly with those students as well. But again, it's just proposed legislation, so we will see what comes out of that. And then again, there's various other pieces of legislation that are out there. But for right now, those are the 3 key points that I would want everybody to know about, and to just kind of keep your ears open to hear how these progress through the session. And I'll continue to update you as well on any of the major key points that are coming through. February 5th through the 9th is National School Counselor Appreciation Week. So our school counselors do such a wonderful job in so many roles. They wear so many hats in our buildings. Make sure that we recognize them for February 5th through 9th, National School Counselor Appreciation Week. Also, we have a winter break coming up, and so the 19th through the 23rd, February 19th through the 23rd, is winter break for our students. And then, of course, on the 19th, February 19th, is a professional development day for school district employees. And the 20th through the 23rd, our schools will not have their personnel except for a few front office personnel that will be in place, 240-day employees. But all 190-day employees will be home for February the 20th through the 23rd. And even though we have a professional development day on February 19th this year, the new calendars that we have for the next 2 years, there won't be a professional development day on that Monday. The full week will actually be winter break. So for next calendar year and the one that we just passed for the year after that, that will change to a full 5 days that week. So I know that will come at a great time for everybody as we get moving through the spring season and how busy it gets, especially in our schools and what we're having to do to take care of our students' needs. And of course, we have a regular board meeting coming up on February the 12th, Monday, February 12th, and we certainly will have a work session as well in February on the 26th of the month. And that is everything I have for today's In the Know. As I always tell you, hug on your family members. Tell them how much you love them. Tell them how much we appreciate them sharing you with us. And always remember what to be grateful for, because there are so many things that come at us that tell us the troubles that may be out there. But I always have to reflect on how grateful I am for the things that I do have. I'm very grateful to be in the Darlington County School District. I'm very grateful to be able to work with so many dedicated educators and employees that have committed their careers to the Darlington County School District. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, we will work together to do everything that we need to take care of our students, but also make the Darlington County School District the best place for folks to want to be able to work. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend and rest of January, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next In the Know.